the struggle. Long time had a hustle. Glad we made it through. I'm just glad we made it through. Hood baby from the struggle. Long time had a hustle. I'm glad we made it through.
Hey guys, I'm back. It's another showtime with Tea Time with Laura. And we're going to get the tea tonight and all the scoop from my girl, Alexandria Ruden. She's our guest tonight and she is phenomenal woman. I definitely want her on to talk to all of you guys. She's got a lot of knowledge. She's a little attorney with a lot of pack. And she's got some good stuff to tell us what's going on with the Legal Aid Society and her journey, how she even got there. I tell you, we got to hear all of this. But first, I just want you guys to know, to like, share, subscribe to our page. We would appreciate it. And also to check out our website. It's in the description below. And just join us and be part of the B movement. So without further ado, I'm bringing on Miss Alexandria Ruden. She's the chief counsel, I want to say.
No, supervising attorney. I'm
supervising attorney.
Supervising attorney in the family law unit.
There you go. And that's
I have my tea time too.
She's awesome. So, and she's going to talk about her journey and a little bit background of her. Alexandria, thank you for coming on. We appreciate you so much for this.
You're very welcome. It's good to be here.
Yes, ma'am. So who is Alexandria Ruden?
Well, I only seem to have one identity. I have been an attorney for almost 45 years and spent that entire time either at the Free Medical Clinic of Greater Cleveland, where we began a legal program for low-income persons who needed divorces, needed protection orders. So I have been doing that. And then our old director, Lionel Jones, asked me if I would want to take all my cases and move to legal aid and do a domestic violence practice, which is what I decided to do. I fell into it. I wasn't planning. I was going to open up a feminist law firm, but as it turned out, I stayed. The domestic violence law had passed in March of 1979.
Yeah,
so right. On one hand, that seems 40 years, almost 50 years. On the other hand, I kept thinking that I would have a job to get myself out of a job because I was going to end domestic violence. I did not so much, but that was my thought. So we were the only ones doing it at the free clinic. So when I went over to legal aid, I had a small niche practice doing protection orders, family law, custody for victims of domestic violence. And I still do it.
Yeah. I mean, that's your advocacy. That's your work, your passion.
Yes, and that's good, except now I'm thinking of retiring. I'm just thinking. But I would have no other identity. I am what I do. So, the personal is the political is the personal. It seems to be one thing for me. You're right. It has been what I have dedicated my life to do, which is to end family violence.
Isn't that something?
And
yeah.
And I work at Legal Aid, where we have three major visionary pieces. We believe in rights, dignity, and access to justice. And that we have done probably from the beginning of the founding of Legal Aid, but we're focused on it. So we have many.
So the Legal Aid Society is free to the public, right?
It is free. I mean, but let me just back up. You have to fit within financial availability and financial accountability. And I'm not, that's not the exact wording I want, but what I want to say is it isn't for everybody. You have to be over less than 200% of the federal poverty guidelines, not be able to afford counsel. And we do extended representation. We also give advice. We have brief advice clinics around the entire city. We also are a 5-county area-wide legal aid society. We represent clients in Ashtabula, Lake, Geauga, Cuyahoga, and Lorain County.
Oh, okay.
And
so
go ahead.
You're primarily with the Cleveland section, though, huh?
Yes, and I represent in Cuyahoga County. And we have a housing unit. We do economic justice. We do health and opportunity. So we address immigration. We address taxation. We address public benefits, education law for IEPs, and again, then family law.
Any evictions?
We work more with evictions because we have a new project, Right to Counsel, and we help them. We help clients who have had eviction actions against them. So we do a lot. What I think is good about what we do is, as a lawyer, we're told we're focused on spotting issues. So let's say a client comes in, they have no transportation, they have no housing. We can help them with that. If they have tax issues, we can help them with that. We also have social workers that will help clients move forward on their path to being a survivor and a thriver. So deal with self-sufficiency and stability. Because we realize that it's never just one issue. It's a continuum. And as long as we can meet as many needs as possible, then we can move somebody past their issues.
And that's great too, that the agency is there, because I know working at CMHA, we always refer, our residents to the Legal Aid Society. They can't afford an attorney. They just can't.
Correct.
Some of them want a retainer of $5,000, and it's like, oh my gosh, you're talking to low income people here, or some fixed income, so they're disabled. They just don't have that.
Absolutely.
So,
And so we are there to provide that access to justice that many of your clients would never get without having legal aid as part of what they do.
Exactly. Wow, fantastic. I'm glad of that, because I tell you, boy, without the Legal Aid Society, I don't know where a lot of people would be. And especially after the pandemic and with evictions, and because the courts started opening back up and everything was on hold, and then it started moving forward, and here we go. Landlords was coming in and out in court and getting rid of their clients.
Absolutely. And we have a very vibrant right to counsel in eviction cases. So we're doing really good work. Now, besides the work of extended representation or counsel and advice or brief clinics, we also do a lot of education and community outreach.
Okay.
We train different community groups on knowing your rights. We train, we do substantive trainings, like I train on domestic violence law around the state. So we each have other areas within our practice that we work on. And finally, we also do some group representation, some kind of informal association, some kind of attended associations. And this would be the case if the group is unable to hire private counsel and includes mostly people who would have qualified for legal aid individually. So we have an extremely broad-based legal aid, and we do advocacy. Like with bills, with community organizing, legislation.
Yeah.
So if we're invited, we're involved with that. We can give sometimes our opinion.
And do you have language interpreters for people with different, so many,
Absolutely.
you know?
Absolutely. That was a mandate of our
Mhm.
new director, who not new anymore. She came in 2005. But the point is, yes, we have interpreters for our clients, helping clients when they go to court.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, 'cause that
correct.
court lingo, I'm telling you, that court lingo is all by itself a different language. Because attorneys
True,
talking
true.
and judges
Which
talking.
means, that's interesting, which means we can't just get a family member to come in. The Supreme Court of Ohio has certified language interpreters who focus and who know court lingo. Because you don't want somebody to paraphrase. If a court is saying, I need you to do this, and this is what this means, you can't paraphrase that. You've got to be familiar with court lingo, as you say, in an effort to educate that client, and then explain to the client exactly what the court said, and then explain to the court exactly what the client responds to.
Wow. So I know your caseload got to be big, though.
Our caseload in family law is very big. Yeah.
Yeah, got to be. Because I tell you, every time we have a seminar or webinar, or we have different events and we have a legal aid a table set up, and they'll go pass by all the little vendors, but they head straight over.
I hear you.
It'd be like a little mob.
Yep. Well, I think it tells you how many people need help, how many people need services.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank God for that. Well, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk to Ms. Ruden and get down into some domestic violence stuff and restraining orders, and knowing the difference between civil, and a lot of people don't know that there's all types of restraining orders and so on and so forth. So don't go anywhere, guys. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe, and we'll be right back.
What my code is going to be based off is the Harlem Hellfighters. They were the first African-American infantry regiment during World War I.
So I chose the Harlem Hellfighters because of mainly surrounding the history of African Americans as a whole, and also how many of them aren't really as recognized. Night in Coding has helped me explore coding and computer programming. I like that and how it practically gives you the freedom to do whatever you want. I think United in Coding has helped me develop more of a bigger interest in computer programming as well as game developing. And I like to thank you also for.
Okay, we're back. Welcome back for a second half of Tea Time with Laura, where we're getting the tea right now tonight, folks, with our favorite attorney, Ms. Alexandria Ruden.
And I must say, my favorite advocate, Cowan. So.
Thank you. Awesome. And man, I tell you, we do go back, don't we? Oh boy.
Yes.
Many years. And I do miss my girl, though, Janet
Rosenberg.
Right, yeah.
Yes.
I tell you, she would tell me to come on down here. This is happening. Come on over here, and this is happening. And she was so informative and just, approachable and reachable and everything. I know. I miss her. I really do. She was all right with me. And if she could see where we are today, especially, Judge Adrian, when him and all the committee and everybody got together and got that family,
the Family Justice Center, which is what, and Jill Smilek, who has run it for so long. It is wonderful service provider that our community needed.
That's right. A one-stop shop, I call it, with everything in one room. Right. Because I remember being a survivor of domestic violence. Unfortunately, back in that time, they have you running over here to go there, running over there to go to see this attorney, and go over here to this advocate, and go over here and go over there. And it was just so much and overwhelming. You got 2 kids, you drag it with you. It was just a lot.
It must have been extremely difficult. It is better now. There are more family justice centers around the community. We have a very good domestic violence programming through the Journey Center for Safety and Healing. We have a wonderful rape crisis center. They do work through Jewish Family Services, and the Domestic Relations Court also has a domestic violence department. So many clients that either choose not to be represented or can't get through to legal aid or don't get lawyers can go right there, and they can get their needs met either through a help center that helps them with divorces, or the domestic violence centers that help them get civil protection orders.
For the courts, who is is there several judges? Is it Judge Jones?
Judge Jones is one of the judges. There are 5 judges, and have cases, but we have dedicated magistrates under these judges who actually only do domestic violence cases. So the thought is they're educated, they know domestic violence, and they can effectively and efficiently and consistently rule. So it's not like they're just all over, they know the law, so they know how to rule.
That's beautiful. Isn't that something? Yeah, I remember when she was campaigning, and it's like, all right, yes, we're going to get you in. I must have wore everybody's t-shirt at one time or another. Judge Ryan on his campaign, Judge Sager, her campaign. I got so many t-shirts in my closet from being on somebody's campaign.
I hear you.
Oh, man. Judge Talbot, remember Judge Pauline?
Oh,
Talbot?
yeah.
Oh, yeah. I got a couple of her t-shirts. My goodness, yes. I tell you. And it just feels so good to know, a lot of people don't see it, but when I rattle off judges' names, I feel like I'm kind of important. So
Okay. Well, the one who actually, if we're talking judges, the one who really pulled this whole movement together was Judge Adrian.
There you go.
And being a man who actually was part of this movement, he was able to garner the respect that so many needed. When he spoke, people listened.
Sure did.
And as a judge, took this issue and it became very much his own.
And when he retired, I was sad, but he's still out there doing his thing. He's reachable, but he was a mover and a shaker, wasn't he?
Yep.
Sure was.
Well, when he retired, since we wrote,
I know.
I was going to say, since he retired and we wrote the book together, so we together wrote Ohio Domestic Violence Law. And then when he retired, Judge Madej took over his portion of it.
Oh my, okay.
Wait.
Well, we had to talk about that, yeah.
Well, there's not much to say, but this is the book.
Oh, look how thick that is. Get out of here.
Well, I'll tell you what we've done is Judge Madej now, Ron before that, talked about all the criminal protection order pieces.
Right.
What happens in criminal court, both felony and municipal. And I took the civil protection order pieces. So when you have to know, you need to know who's covered. You need to know what is domestic violence. You need to talk about the ex parte protection orders, the full hearing protection orders, how it impacts custody and visitation, the federal law and its impact, police enforcement, and court enforcement of these protection orders. So, and then evidence and victim advocacy. So we run the gamut on that. And now we're going to have to create a chapter for strangulation, because now we have a strangulation statute.
Yes.
It goes into effect at April 4th.
April 4th. I remember seeing some of the newsletters coming through from San Diego. Mr. Casey, he would send stuff through. It'd be strangulation this and strangulation training that. And it's like, this must be really big. And it's definitely on the rise.
We were the last state in the country to pass a strangulation statute.
Good grief. Why are we so behind on everything? Incredible.
No, we go back and forth. We've done, some of our other laws have been really advanced and very proactive and comprehensive. And I don't know, we just couldn't get strangulation passed, but we now have it. So, and here's the thing, something I learned, you create the law, then you train.
Mm-hmm.
And now that we have the law, it's visible. And now, just like everything else, you can't go back. Now we know it, so now we have to train on it. We have to explain it to people. And that is all professionals, not just clients. Clients come in and they say, I've been choked. No, this is near fatal or non-fatal strangulation. One, choking is when you get meat stuck in your throat. Strangulation is when somebody applies pressure externally to your neck to stop either the blood flow or the air. And when it does, it's very significant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see that because I remember in the newsletter, he actually had, diagrams, the blood with busting of the eyes and the blood clots. And it's like, my gosh.
Well, everything I learned about strangulation and will continue to learn, it has been from Casey Gwynn and Gail Strack at the Alliance for Hope. They're the ones, interestingly, they started the Family Justice Center movement, and they were the ones that started the strangulation movement. Mm-hmm. Now, when you have vision, you can think big picture.
Exactly. Yeah, I remember when he came here to Cleveland, and he talked to some of the survivors. That's when it was the Domestic Violence Center at the time.
Right.
Then he changed the name to the not the Journey Center.
Domestic Violence and Child Advocacy.
Child Advocacy Center, right. Now, the Journey Center, exactly.
That's too many names, but yeah.
And he had a little workshop or something he did for, different people. I think it was at that county. No, it was at Family Children's Services. And he met everybody down there. It was the first time I met him, And he had a lot of vision. I would put it like that.
He has vision, and he has the right people who have become experts. And that's the other piece that we're finding is one of the other ways to educate, other than my talking to you, telling you it exists, or talking to another group. It's going to court and explaining to a judge or a magistrate what this means. And if 50% of injuries are non-visible in strangulation, how do you prove it? So it's what to look for. So anyway, expert witnesses in this area are significant. And in fact, one of the major expert witnesses that they used was Bill Smock, and he was the one who provided testimony in George Floyd.
Wow. I did not know that. Yes. Isn't that something? Boy, you learn something every day. This is heavy. This is really deep. A lot of people don't know. And that book is astounding. How thick was that? I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, it's what I do in my spare time.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. You're amazing. Well, we're going to take a quick break and we'll come back. We're going to break down each restraining order, what it means. A lot of people say it's just a piece of paper, but you know better and what it can do to help people. So don't go away, people. We'll be right back for our last half of Tea Time with Laura. And we're going to get the tea, the real good tea.
Okay.
So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll be right back.
Well, I've always felt that rivalries are what get you up in the morning. And it's either you're gonna win and advance and go on to win a state championship, or you're gonna lose and go home and watch them go on and win a state championship.
Earl Franklin was a beast.
Come from two different backgrounds, which was great. I'm black, of course, he was white.
He was one of the ones we prepared for.
They always had all these super athletes. You know, we were just the men of motor.
It was Princeton, you know, the city school that would dare face one of the GCL powerhouses. We were the public school and they were the private school.
The thing I like best about Carolina is that when we ride and share our stories going up and down 75.
It's a long drive down there. There were records set.
We're driving cars on the Mars tonight.
If we heard he was coming, we would go get as much money as we could.
Two guys just trying to get home, enjoying each other, having fun.
We just hit it off as friends.
Because we threw all that stuff out the window when we hung out.
And it's probably been 10 years, so I haven't seen him in a while.
But my understanding that with prostate cancer, if it runs in, you know, family, so if, you know, God forbid you have it.
They came back with prostate cancer. I didn't even know I had prostate cancer, man.
I mean, your head immediately goes, oh my gosh, why? Because you want to go to all the negative stuff, I think, because then we're not surprised. But if you sit in that world, you're miserable.
I was still working out. I'm a 5 a.m. workout guy.
You know, when he goes in for this biopsy, there's no reason to panic.
My dad is like the strongest person I know.
We will laugh at everything because that's who we are.
You know the old saying, pray before you get a finger up your butt.
When you got a friend, you just got a friend.
The tests for cancer came back.
Well, we increased his life insurance policy, so whatever happens is
Actually,
good. We
we're
are
trying.
good. No.
Okay, we're back. We're back. Thank you for hanging in there with us, people. And we have Miss Alexandria Ruden from the Legal Aid Society, attorney Alexandria Ruden from the Legal Aid Society here today with us to talk about, she talked about the Legal Aid Society, all its services. If you missed that part of it, you have to go back and look at the tape again because I'm telling you, it's mind-blowing. So please don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. Also down in the description, you will see our website for the documentary, Be a Raised Fist Mixtape, Volume 1, coming to a theater near you soon. And click on the links. And also we have the Be merchandise page as well. And we got t-shirts, we got everything. Support us and let's make this documentary come to life. So when we left off, we just started off with the restraining orders a little bit. We're getting into that of family center. We talked on that. So now let's talk about what are the restraining orders and break them down to us, Alexandria.
Ohio has 6 types of protection orders. I'll back up by saying one thing. If you're in the middle of a divorce, for the length of time that the divorce is in place, you can get a restraining order. That restrains somebody from technically abusing you, dissipating any marital assets, orders somebody to stay away from your separate residence. But a restraining order only lasts until the divorce is over, and police do not have an obligation to enforce it. We have also in Ohio 6 types of protection orders.
Wow.
It started with the DV protection orders, and we had 2. One protection order is the TPO, the temporary protection order, which is granted if somebody is charged with the crime of domestic violence. The court having jurisdiction over that is the municipal court or felony court. However, Then we also had a civil protection order, which is a DVCPO. That one is not pushed by a prosecutor or charges or police. This is victim driven. A victim of domestic violence who is a family or household member can go into domestic relations court and get a protection order that lasts up to 5 years. But you have to be a family or household member. And those people are spouses, former spouses, people who reside or who have resided with the respondent, people who have never lived together but who have a child in common, and people who live together as if they are spouses. And then we also have a dating violence protection order for people who don't live together but have some degree of commitment, and they've been together within 12 months, and the relationship is of an intimate or romantic nature, not a typical business association. So that is a different protection order. And that is also granted in domestic relations courts. We have juvenile protection orders. And for juvenile protection orders, that is based on the age of the respondent. So the respondent has to be under the age of 18. And if that is the case, doesn't matter how old the victim is, doesn't matter, you could be 90, you can be 10. It is only based on the age of the respondent. So if the respondent or the defendant, they're called respondent in civil actions. If that respondent is subject to that protection order, then juvenile court is the only court that issues and enforces those orders. Then, I'm not done, we have a civil stalking protection order, and we have a regular criminal protection order. Now, the criminal protection order is for acts of assault, stalking, aggravated trespass, and sexually oriented offenses, and you cannot be family or household members. Have to be strangers. You can't fit with any of the other paradigms. So, and then there's a civil stalking protection order, and that is based just on the acts of stalking, aggravated trespass, or sexually oriented offense. You could technically be married, but normally it's also for people who don't have any of those relationships that I originally talked to you about. All the civil protection orders are very similar in scope. The acts may be different, who's covered may be different, but the process is the same. The remedies are similar. And the case law, it's all analogous to each other, meaning that the case law that addresses civil DV protection orders will also address a lot of the stalking protection orders relative to process and procedure. But I sometimes you have to be a rocket scientist to figure all these protection orders out, which goes back to something you said about having a place where survivors can go, so they're not going all over the place, so they know.
Yeah. So
we have some of that. So we're doing pretty well.
That's good too. I know Aaron Juglin, we have sent so many of our people to him because he'll sit down, he has the patients, the advocates there.
Absolutely.
Fill out that nice thick old application.
Right. And that's the other thing. The Supreme Court was ordered by statute to create the standard domestic violence and all the other forms. So that's why we have so many, but each act, there is for each protection order forms for it. And I think what differentiates the restraining order that I talked to you about in the beginning and a protection order is police are obligated to enforce protection.
Right.
And that includes removing respondents from the home if appropriate. And a protection order issued in Ohio is accorded full faith and credit in another state. So if somebody comes here, let's just say from California, somebody from from here goes to California, you can register your protection order, and let's say your intimate partner follows you, then and does something, it can be enforced in California. And same thing if somebody comes here, it can be enforced here.
Oh,
So
that's good.
yeah.
Yeah.
That is probably really good. And then with domestic violence protection orders, arrest is the preferred course of action. We don't have mandated arrest, but what we do have is arrest is the preferred course. So if there's an act of violence and police do all their assessments, they determine who was primary physical aggressor, they separate the parties, then they should be arresting if they believe that a crime of DV was committed and that this person committed the offense. If they don't, they're supposed to note in a mandatory police report why they have chosen not to arrest when arrest is the preferred course of action.
Oh, got it. So say a woman has whatever particular restraining order she has. Should she let her employer know also, or give a copy to them? Or
absolutely. She should give a copy to her employer. She should keep a copy of the protection order in her car. She should have one on her person, one on her at her home, because if somebody violates that protection order, depending on the nature of the violation, they could be arrested and charged with the specific crime of violating the civil or criminal, whatever the protection order.
Wow.
Any of those protection orders.
And a lot of people fail to think about that. You know, they just may have it in their purse and that's it. But you need to have it wherever you go, and other facilities should have it too. Schools even, you know?
Oh, absolutely. That's something I just forgot. Thank you. If you have children, and depending on what the order says, that you should be taking a copy of that order to the school so the school is aware of everything. And that also goes to show that if you're dealing with the juvenile protection orders, and let's say you're in a bullying type relationship, that the court can make separate orders relative to how the respondent should be within a distance of whoever the petitioner is, the victim in that case. So they can do specifically tailored orders to the facts in front of them. And that's what you hope courts do.
Exactly. Very informative, Alex. We're gonna take our last final break and come back and wrap it up with some encouraging words from Ms. Ruden. And to close it out, thank you so much for being with us. You guys don't go nowhere. She's going to lay it heavy on you. She's going to give you something Confucius would say. Only Ms. Ruden would say. So don't go anywhere. Don't forget, like, share, and subscribe, and we'll be right back.
My poem is Virtual School, and is how it goes. We all have our bad times, we all have our hardships. Virtual school a bust needs make it end.
Tell me some of the things you've learned from United and Cope.
I have a problem where I don't like talking and I don't like expressing my questions. So if I have a question, I won't tell anyone, and then by the end of it, I'll have my problem wrong because I never asked a question. I just like this coding class and all the kids. It's really fun and you do learn a lot. I feel like not even in school have I learned so much. So I'm looking forward to more classes.
Okay, we're back. We're back, people. Thank you for hanging in there once again. Like, share, and subscribe. I hope you've liked the show so far tonight. It's been very informative. And I know a lot of our survivors out there and people are going to be watching this show and spreading the word. And you share it too as well. It's going to be on YouTube and everywhere else. We got to get the word out about your law, the law that protects you, and it's supposed to be here to protect us all. So you need to learn the law. You have to. And what's that old saying they used to say? Ignorance of the law is no excuse. No excuse. So get educated, people, research, and look at shows like this. This will help you to get more into what's going on out there. So we're going to wrap it up, Ms. Ruden. We appreciate you being here tonight. We really do. And is there any encouraging thoughts or words that you would like to leave the audience tonight?
The one thing I would like to say is while a protection order is only one piece of a puzzle, it is extremely important because it can be the difference between life and death. Now, of course, is it the only thing? No, but it can be. And the one thing that we are hoping that we accomplish as professionals and as a community is we can move victims from their victimhood to become survivors and then thrivers. And what I mean by that is they can move forward. They have the stability and the self-sufficiency to make a better life for themselves and for their children.
Oh, yes. A better quality of life.
Absolutely.
You know, we all make mistakes, people, and we all fall down, but we get back up. And then getting back up, you know, just remember, you know, this will be a lesson for us all. Really, life is. It's just a big lesson. Absolutely. Wow. I am so delighted to have you on. I'm telling you, this has been one great show tonight. Thank you for giving us your time, your knowledge, and all the services that you guys do down at the Legal Aid is well appreciated. Definitely.
You're very welcome. Now, let me just say, just from Legal Aid, you can apply by phone. You can come in person, or now you can apply online. So if you have a problem in either family or economic justice or housing or immigration or education law, please, or tax, please utilize our services. Thank you.
Wow, thank you guys. You got that right. Okay. I told you need to grab a pen and paper when you come to this show because there's a lot to learn. Thank you again, Ms. Ruden. You know, I'll be seeing you sometime in the future soon.
I'm sure.
Okay, guys, we're closing out with Tea Time with Laura. We'll see you next week. Remember, Tea Time with Laura airs every Friday at 7 p.m. Don't miss us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And also in the description below, click on the links and go and see information on the blog about B, our documentary coming to you soon. Thank you and good night.